Joining me live is ASPI's Senior Analyst in Defence Strategy and Capability, Malcolm Davis. Malcolm, thanks so much for joining us. So what does this mean for Hamas? Do you think that this is the wider regional war that we were all fearing would escalate?
Look, I think it could be the beginning of a wider war. Certainly, everyone was expecting Hezbollah to launch attacks across northern Israel at the outset of the conflict. It didn't happen. I think the Hezbollah was being restrained, probably on orders from Iran. But I think that this attack in downtown Beirut has basically increased tensions, increased the risk that this war will escalate horizontally. In other words, it's spread geographically. And it would now come down to what Hamas, Hezbollah and Iran choose and how they choose to respond to this very successful Israeli strike.
And after clashes between Yemeni Houthi ships in the Red Sea in the United States, is the US now at war with Yemen? Is that what we can safely say now?
Well, we need to distinguish between the Houthis and the Yemeni government, okay? So it's the Houthis that are the threat, not the Yemeni government. And the Houthis are sponsored and supported by Iran. And Iran is also coordinating attacks by radical Palestinian and Islamist groups across Iraq and Syria against US forces. So I think the correct way to think about this is not so much focusing on Yemen, it's focusing on a broader war between the US, Israel and Iran being supported by Hezbollah and Hamas. And so I think that it does become potential for a more complex multi-front war across the region rather than just in the Gaza Strip. The Red Sea with the Houthi attacks, I think, is very serious in terms of its threat to international maritime shipping. And the US responses so far have been very defensive in nature. But ultimately, I think the US will need to go on the offensive to take out Houthi capabilities, and that could then lead to a broader war in that action.
We also understand that fighting has eased, or the situation is stable in the north of Gaza as the focus shifts to the south. This reported lower intensity operations by Israel in the north. Does that reflect success the IDF has had in dismantling Hamas's military capabilities there?
Well, it certainly reflects IDF success in pushing Hamas back from northern Gaza into southern Gaza. And I think what you're going to see is the Israelis transition away from this sort of indiscriminate use of artillery and air power that has caused so many civilian casualties to a more focused precision use of ground forces in southern Gaza to hunt down and kill Hamas forces there in southern Gaza. And so I think the Israelis understand they can't keep on going on causing massive civilian casualties. They're going to lose international support for their position. So they are going to transition to a more focused approach on the ground, and that will be focused very much in southern Gaza. In the meantime, in northern Gaza, what you'll see is the Israelis stabilizing the situation, securing it, and you could then see Israelis returning to settlements close to northern Gaza.
Malcolm Davis, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.